This is KGW News at 11.
We begin tonight with breaking news. 8 people have died from drug overdoses in Portland in just the last 3 days. Thank you for joining us. I'm Blair Best. This report comes with a warning from Portland police of a potentially dangerous batch of drugs circulating the streets. Here's what we know so far. 6 of the deaths are likely fentanyl related, and the other 2 are pending additional investigation. Now, these deaths were citywide. The first was on Friday morning around 11:30 inside an apartment building on East Burnside. The last was reported today at 4:30 this evening on North Hartman Street. Now, 6 of the victims identified were men over the age of 35. Police say there is evidence that the users thought they were taking cocaine, but it was actually blended with fentanyl, possibly pure powdered fentanyl. Now, all of these cases are under investigation, and anyone with information is asked to call police. And now to another terrible trend in Portland. 1 man died after a series of shootings over the weekend. Portland police responded to 2 triple shootings on the east side. This death marks the 34th homicide in Portland so far this year. Here's Evan Watson with the details.
The man who died was shot in the Cully neighborhood on Northeast Killingsworth. We saw people gathered outside of a home there when they learned that the triple shooting had now turned into a homicide investigation. They told us to leave.
2 triple shootings in one night in Portland. Police say 1 man died at the hospital after being shot near a home on Northeast Killingsworth in the Cully neighborhood. 2 other shooting victims, a man and a woman, had minor injuries that were treated at the scene. A contrast to a bright and cheerful Sunday morning.
Been walking out this morning, it's quiet, the sun's shining, it's like feels like a nice community space a lot of the time.
Grant Smith lives a block away from the other triple shooting in Portland, just after midnight Sunday. Police say 3 people were shot at a bar in the Lloyd district. Paramedics provided trauma care on scene at the Capitol Bar and Lounge on Northeast Broadway.
I guess it's something that happens around here a lot, but it's not something that I encounter a lot in my daily life, It feels pretty idyllic a lot of the time, so it's kind of wild, the transition between that and this.
Sunday morning, some signs of chaos could be seen inside the Capitol Bar's locked doors. Broken glasses, flipped tables, and items left behind in a hurry. Smith was surprised to learn about the shooting this morning, but says he feels safe and secure walking around his neighborhood at night.
These things do happen once in a while, and when they happen, they tend to stick in your brain a lot, but I don't want to let that affect what I'm going to do on my day-to-day.
The homicide in Northeast Portland is the city's 34th of the year. For both triple shootings, Portland police say the suspect or suspects left the scene and no immediate arrests have been made.
The medical examiner is still determining the cause of death for the man who died in the Cully neighborhood, and so his name hasn't been released so far. Detectives are asking for information about either of these shootings in Northeast Portland. In the newsroom, Evan Watson reporting.
And police are investigating a shooting in Southeast Portland that happened early this morning. There are a few details, but here's what we know so far. The shooting happened just before 3:30 in the morning. A victim in that shooting walked into a hospital on Southeast Main Street with non-life-threatening injuries. He refused to tell officers where he had been shot or who shot him. We'll be sure to bring you more details as we learn more. In Corvallis, some neighbors are upset after a local mosque was vandalized with spray paint. The mosque is located on Northwest Kings Boulevard. Neighbors say the mosque has been a staple in the community for more than 30 years. On Thursday, the words "Jesus loves you" were found spray painted on its walls. Now, neighbors say that while the message itself is not hateful, there are better places for it.
That's, it's a nice sentiment, but not appropriate for anything that maybe isn't in front of a church.
Now, the area is known to be a spot for college students. Our news partners in Eugene have reached out to the Corvallis Police Department, and there's no word yet on if they're investigating. Well, mail deliveries in some South Seattle neighborhoods are being halted. That means thousands of people now have to go to their local carrier annex to pick up their mail. Our sister station in Seattle spoke with frustrated residents as they wait for answers from the post office.
"We deliver for you" is the slogan for the United States Postal Service. But lately, in some neighborhoods throughout South Seattle, that message hasn't been received.
Why is the box empty all the time? So we were worried too that somebody was taking our mail, but apparently this is what's happening.
Officials with the U.S. Postal Service told King 5 some customers in zip code 98118, which stretches from Columbia City to Rainier Beach, have been directed to pick up their mail at the Columbia Carrier Annex along Martin Luther King Jr. Way.
This is awful. I tried to come get my mail a few days ago, and I gave up because I was just I realized that the people ahead of me have been waiting a while.
She's just one of thousands of people that have been impacted by this recent halt in delivery services, with some waiting in line for at least an hour, depending on the day.
Get it taken care of. There are people that need this service.
Residents I spoke with tell me the USPS didn't notify them about the stoppage in services or inform them on where to go.
From neighbors and on Facebook, and it was kind of touch and go, even if this was the right place, and even that this was the right door.
We did reach out to the Postal Inspection Service, which is the law enforcement branch of the government agency, on what led to the disruption. They didn't have anyone available to speak with us on Saturday, but we did find this notice on one mailbox container less than a mile away from the Columbia Annex that said, "Due to the rise in mail theft and vandalism, we will be holding all mail for your address. We do not have an exact date of when all master locks will be replaced."
I was asking the woman when I was picking up my mail, how much longer? They don't even know. They can't tell us. They're telling us to go rent a post office box. That's not an answer. That's a ridiculous answer. There are people that won't be able to do that.
Well, now to a traffic alert in Southeast Portland. A sinkhole will keep Southeast Yam Hill Street at 76th Avenue closed tomorrow. That's located in the Mount Tabor neighborhood. A spokesperson with the Portland Bureau of Environmental Services says crews have been on site and they plan to clean out the hole, fill it, and make any repairs to the street. Now, PBOT says the hole is about 10 feet deep. TriMet also says Line 15 will not be stopping between Southeast 71st and 76th until further notice. Well, here's a live look now from our Wells Fargo Skycam. It was a hot Mother's Day with warm temperatures sticking around tomorrow and for most of the week. Here's Chris McGinnis with your first forecast.
Well, it does look like the warm weather that we've been having here the last couple of days is going to be sticking around. And just to kind of set the table a little bit and give you the big perspective, not just for the week ahead, but maybe over the next 7 to 10 days and beyond. Here's the outlook from the Climate Prediction Center for May 22nd through the 28th. So now that takes us through the 3rd week of May and into the 4th week of May, right? We're still looking at fairly high confidence of above average temperatures continuing into that time frame. Mind you, the average high for this time of the year is about 70. So we're in record setting territory the last couple of days. I don't know that we're going to be that warm as we go into like next weekend and beyond, but the odds are that we're still looking at generally warm and dry weather. All right, now for the hot details. 91, that ties the record here in Portland. 93, the high in Astoria, that was a record high. 93 tied a record in Salem. 94 in Eugene, that was a record. Again, records falling across western Oregon and Washington today. We may take the edge off the heat just a little bit tomorrow, and I also want to point out that that is what we're watching in our weather forecast for tomorrow. Low pressure pinwheeling itself westward out of the Four Corners will bring us a chance of some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. So that's something that we're keeping our eyes on. In the meantime, a very mild overnight and potentially another 90-degree day in our Monday forecast. A look ahead to the week ahead comes up in just a few.
Well, these hot temperatures have county leaders on high alert since the heat can cause dehydration, among other problems. In Multnomah County, public health officials say they'd be surprised to go the next few days without seeing an increase in ER visits for heat-related issues. Now, the county's acting health officer says they're working hard to keep people hydrated and cool. And homeless people or those who live alone are most at risk. Now, as of this afternoon, there have been no heat-related deaths from this most recent heat wave.
I think we're going to hear about more emergency room visits for heat-related illnesses. And if we have deaths, I suspect it won't be, yesterday or today, but maybe starting tonight, tomorrow, because as the heat accumulates in your buildings and in your body, and you become more and more dehydrated, and all those effects accumulate.
Now, she's hoping it's ultimately a non-event and that the county's preparation and lessons learned from previous heat waves lead to a positive outcome. But the temps projected into this week mean that buildings aren't cooling off much in the evenings. So check on your neighbors and loved ones. Well, it is Mother's Day, and a local organization is celebrating all moms. Today marked the 10th annual Raining Roses Walk for Rose Haven in Northwest Portland. A live mural was painted in honor of the work Rose Haven does in the community. There was also a walk, which is meant to raise awareness and money for women and children facing poverty and trauma.
We really wanted to do something like this for an organization that does help out the community that we are surrounded by. So you're a part of the community, I'm a part of the community, and they help out the community. So win-win-win.
There was also live music and an opportunity to tour the Rose Haven facility. Well, there are many moms out enjoying the sunshine today along Waterfront Park in Portland. Some were there with their kids looking for places to keep cool in this heat.
Did you know it's Mother's Day?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you want to say to your mom?
I love you, Mom.